so to come and do a reading activity with us tonight to promote our home reading program and our importance of reading with our children. And we are so happy that you're supporting us in that. And so I'm going to sort of just turn it over to her, and I'm just doing what she's telling me to do tonight.
Hello. Some of you may know me, some of you may not. I was raised here. I've been involved, I've been a lifeguard in the pool, so I've taught lots of kids swimming lessons over the years. I've been involved in coaching sporting activities. If you've got older kids, you may have seen me. I'm with the Estimate Area Literacy Group, and part of what we do is try to bring literacy skills to the community, which is what we're here to do tonight. I'm so glad that we can all come. I am overwhelmed with the amount of you. I did not expect to be this many people, so that's awesome. The first thing I want to do is speak more directly to the parents, and then we'll do some reading with the kids in a minute. So I'd like you to take out the paper that you got handed when you arrived. This is just some information for parents about reading with your kids. What are positive things that you can do? And each time we do this, we try to bring strategies with us. So today we're talking about what you should do before you start reading with your children. So it's important, like anything in life, that you need to prepare to be successful for this. Some of the tips, basic things like time. Is your child, tired? Are they excited? Are they mad? That may not be a time that you want to sit down and try to read. Lots of people read with their kids before they go to bed at night because the kids tend to settle down and want to listen. Quite often, if your kids are hungry, that may not be the best time. So, after school, give them a snack, give them a little bit of time to play, burn off that school, and then sit down to do it. Make sure that you allow enough time so that you're not rushed. You're not trying to force it. It can be relaxed. You can answer the questions that they have. If something comes up that you want to talk about in the story, you have the time to do that. Because the goal isn't to rush through necessarily to read the books. I know sometimes the school wants you to read so many books, but it's also about them understanding what they're reading and enjoying the process. Distractions. You probably don't want to try and read when you're in the room with a TV or a video game. Or maybe if you've got a younger reader that's learning to read, you don't want another sibling around that's distracting them so that they're not focusing on that. That is big with kids, especially little kids. And then customize the activities for your child. So, you know your child. Some kids, when they're little, they might sit for 5 minutes and want to read, and that's good. If you read just for 5 minutes every day, that adds up to be a huge accumulation of time by the time they go to kindergarten. Even now, 5 minutes is huge still to keep going. And as their attention spans build, then, do 10 minutes, do 15 minutes, whatever they can do. If the book is a little harder to understand, you might, keep it short. If they're struggling to read, maybe you, help them out a little bit. Maybe you take turns reading or whatever so that they don't feel so overwhelmed, so that their attention stays. With that, does everybody kind of understand what that's about? Does that make sense to everybody? Any questions? You guys can take this home with you if you want. Now to discuss the little colored cards that everybody should have, a couple, 3 of them for each parent-child set. So these are just some sample questions to ask your kids when you're reading. That helps to make sure that they understand what you're reading. It helps to build their comprehension. So quite often, they should break down into kind of 3 categories. You can discuss the book before you start reading the book. You can ask them questions once you start reading the book, and then you can ask them more questions at the end of the book. They don't have to be super hard questions. They can be simple questions. At the start, you can look at the front of the book and say, what do you think the book's going to be about? Maybe if it's about something like a lion or a jaguar or something like that maybe they don't know a lot about, you can ask them what they know about it if they're little, What do you know about this animal? What do you know about this thing, right? Maybe by looking at the cover, you can ask them what they think might happen in the story, right? Is this something that pertains to our life? Is this something that happens in our family? Do we have, 3 kids in our family? Do we have 2? Depending what the book is about, right? Once you get into the book, there's what they call normal stopping points. So there'll be a pause in the book. An event will have happened, and it, kind of, when you're reading, it kind of peaks up and calms down. When you get to those natural breaking points, that's another spot that you can stop and ask your kids questions. What's happening so far? How would you feel if this happened to you? You know, have you ever had this happen to you in real life? Different questions like that. You know, what should the character or the animal do next? What do you think is going to happen? Those kind of questions to get them thinking. And then at the end of the book, you can ask them questions again. Did the story turn out the way that you thought it did? It would. Did you learn something new? Have you had this situation happen? What else could have happened? What could have happened, like a different ending? Those kinds of things? Does that make sense? You have questions. 20 minutes of reading? Yeah, some people do 20 minutes of reading. Now I need to borrow one of my teacher volunteers. So this is kind of, tonight when we're here, we're going to read the book together. If you have older kids that can read on their own, feel free to let them read to you. If you have younger kids or weaker readers and you want to read to them or take turns, that's fine. So we're just going to kind of do a quick model where I'm the parent and she's the child. Just to give you kind of an idea of what we're going to do. So I would give the child the book to look at. And I would pull, to start with, one of the yellow cards. And my yellow card says, what do you already know about the topic of this book or story? So what do you know about snowmen?
I know that they have 3 body parts. They have a big bottom, medium middle, small top. Usually a snowman has 2 eyes, a carrot nose, a scarf, 2 arms, sometimes some rocks for buttons.
And then the other question I have says, what characters do you think might be in the story?
Lots of snowmen and maybe some kids.
So then we would open the book and read a little bit. So it says, one winter day I made a snowman, very round and tall. The next day when I saw him, he was not the same at all. His hat had slipped, his arms drooped down. He really looked a fright. It made me start to wonder, what do snowmen do at night? So that might be a good pausing point, right? Let the kids see if they can answer that question on their own. What do you think snowmen do at night? Right? And then you can ask them one of the orange cards. Not necessarily at this point, but a little further on during it. How would you feel if you were a snowman?
I feel pretty cold because I feel the cold in -40 all by myself.
And then, you know, have you learned anything from your new story?
Not yet.
Not yet, right? And then, so at the end, we would ask the green question and see if they had an answer. And I mean, it's not right or wrong.